everybody. Happy Sunday evening. Are you ready for a little Halloween fun? So I rearranged the schedule a little bit. I was going to do a software class tonight, but I'm having a little trouble getting that done. So I hope to have it done by the 17th. So we're going to do the little pillows tonight and next week. As many of you know, my dad, who's 94, has been in the hospital. And he is going home on Tuesday. And I will be there with him. So I have been packing boxes and moving stuff to Anamosa. So I just got done cleaning 4 bathrooms and 3 beds and two kitchens, and I'm tired. So anyway, we're moving along. So tomorrow I go to Anamosa with the cat. The cat is coming with me. So I think she's going to have a harder time maybe with this than Dad and I. So we'll see how it goes. So anyway, we're making progress anyway. I've got to pack my machine and stuff, and we get internet tomorrow. My dad's never had internet up there, so I told him, I said, I need to have internet. So he's going to, we're going to put internet in tomorrow. So that's the big thing for tomorrow. We'll get some internet. So I'll be set to go. So next Sunday, you'll get to see my new sewing room. It'll be Dad's family room. So am I moving permanently? That is a very good question. Just a second here. Let me get this up. Who asked that? Jan. I don't know yet, Jan. We'll see. Dad said a week. Dad said a week. The doctor, I thought a month, and the doctor said that would be a good start. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. My dad's been living alone for a long time, and he's used to living alone, but I think he just needs some help with things. It's hard for him to keep track of the house and the laundry and the house and the cleaning, and so hopefully I can help him with that. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it anyway. So I'll have some company too, and he and I can hang out together. And can he come and live with me? It's actually easier for me to go to him because everything for him is there in Anamosa. All of his doctors and doctor's appointments, everything. And actually, most of the stuff that I have for appointments and stuff is there as well. So anyway, it's actually easier for me to go to him than it is for him to come to me. And yes, I'm an only child. And I have no other family. My parents are both only children as well. So we have no family. There's no cousins. There's no aunts, no uncles, nothing. Just me and Dad. So, yeah. So anyway, we're gonna be working at it, and so you'll get to see a new room, and I might even be able to have a guest on next week's if I can get Dad to get on the camera. He might be able to wave to everybody. So hopefully he will. I'm going to encourage him to come out and see everybody, because I'm sure you hear me talking about him all the time. I'd like you to see his face. So anyway, all right. So I'm going to switch my camera. Give me a second here, and we'll turn the little ticker tape off here. Give me a minute here and go back to the comments. And then I just need to switch my camera. Whoop. Didn't mean to turn it off. We'll try that again. I just need to switch it. Okay, and then let me get my microphone. Okay. All right, so is everybody hearing me okay? All right, so now I can turn my head so I can see better who's saying things. on the StreamYard, I can't really see the names, but I can see the names on Facebook. So as soon as I turn my head towards the tablet, then I can see what's going on. Okay. So tonight tonight we're going to work on the first little October pillow. And this is the one that's called Welcome My Pretties. And this is the little rectangular one. I'm going to show you two methods at the end. I'm gonna do two methods at the end for the trim. I am not a huge fan of pom-poms, so I'll tell you how I did these. I did the original sample with the pom-poms because that was what was in the kit. But tonight I'm going to actually use some fringe on the ends. I'm just going to do fringe on the ends. I thought that would be really cute. So anyway, this was a very, very fun project. I did a little pre-sewing here because the end of it is just letters, and I thought it would be I thought it would take too long, and it takes about 27-30 minutes to do this, and then there's some applique at the beginning. So we'll do the applique part, and while some of the satin stitching is going on, we will talk about the embellishments. Okay, so this is what we're going to make tonight. This was very, very fun. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is, let me get my book open here. So the first thing you need to do is take Shape Flex and put it on the back of your front fabric, your main fabric, okay? So you're going to put the Shape Flex on the back of that. And then what I did to hoop is this is tearaway, and I think in the instructions it probably tells you to use cutaway. Just a second here. Yes. So I don't like to use cutaway on these because I think it makes it pull funny when you go to do it. So anyway, I use the Shape Flex on the back of the fabric, and then I take my fabric, and I showed you this last time. I turn it over and I take my fabric glue stick and put it on the back of the fabric, and then I kind of, center it as close as I can on my piece of tearaway stabilizer, push it down, and then I just hoop it as close to the center as I can get it. Because it doesn't have to be perfectly centered, because remember, we're going to trim this down, but you just want to be pretty close, okay? They give you a little extra room. So that's what I've done here. So there's Shape Flex on the back, and then I took my fabric glue stick, stuck it down to my tearaway stabilizer, and then I just hooped it in this is in my 6x10 hoop. Is that background fabric from Walmart? No, it's not. This is actually Kimber fabric. Can you believe it, Jan? I'm going to be even closer to the Walmart fabric department now, so it could be really dangerous. So no, this is actually Kimber fabric. I got kits from my girlfriend's quilt shop for all of these little pillows, and this kit had enough to make 2 pillows. There was enough of this fabric. They gave me a whole fat quarter of it, and I was able to get the whole 2 pillows done on it. So I thought that was cool. So yeah. So no, this is actually Kimber fabric. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do is get it in the hoop, Shape Flex on the back of the fabric. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to take the plastic cover off of this glitter vinyl that has the little holes in it. And you need to take your orange piece of fabric, and you need to bond the heat transfer vinyl, the polka dot heat transfer vinyl to your fabric. So this is now bonded together, and it makes one applique piece, okay? So this is the orange fabric with the polka dot glitter vinyl bonded to it. Now I have to say I had quite a time doing this today because I took my good iron to Dad's yesterday, and I had to go out and use my heat press today to do this because none of my irons would get it stuck. So I used my steam press, I guess. So anyway, I did finally get it attached. So this is what this is. This is the piece of polka dot glitter vinyl with the fabric on the back, and I adhered it to the top of the fabric so the pretty side's up. Okay, so that's the other thing you need to do. And then there'll be another piece of applique fabric. I had this little stripe piece that was actually from my kit too. What size did you cut your front piece in the hoop? Oh, this piece here, whatever size it said in the instructions, Peggy. I think, let me see if I can find it here. The background fabric is 7.5 by 11.5. It tells you in the instructions. It's on page 1. So it tells you how big to make it, okay? All right, so I've got my pieces all ready. for the applique section. And I've got black thread in my needle, and I've just got bobbin thread in my bobbin. You can see that I've got this hooped. You know, when they do their hooping, they always have you do on all this marking and all this business. And what I always do is just get it as centered as possible and just hoop it. I don't like to have to do all the marking and everything, so I don't do that. I just get it in there as centered as possible. Okay. All right. So the first step, and this is going to be on page 3. So I've kind of gone on to page 3 now, and we're going to talk about the applique. So the first step is going to be the applique placement line for the hat. And I've got my black thread in there for that. And we're going to make our placement line. Oh, cool, Denise. You got most of your red work blocks done. I bet you had to have a lot for that big quilt. Did you decide to use the picture that you sent me? Is that the picture you decided to use? The quilt you decided to make? All right. So here's my placement line. Let me pull this back so you can see it a little bit better. And they didn't give you like an overabundance of this fabric, believe it or not. So you have to be a little careful that you do get it completely covering your hat, because the hat comes way out here. Just make sure that you get the brim covered. They don't have like an over amount of fabric. Okay, like that. So there's my place. I placed my, and this is with, you know, this is the fabric and the glitter vinyl together. All right, so I'm going to leave my black thread in, and this is step number 2 on the machine, and this will be the tack down line for the hat applique. And I am not. Hi, Clara. So give me just a second. I got to get up. I forgot to get my glasses. Okay. Sorry about that. I forgot to get my glasses out of my purse. With that black, I know I'm going to have my glasses on. So we're going to trim this close to the stitches, because there will be a satin stitch around this. It's not raw edge applique. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this one. And this is step number 10 on the instructions on page 3. Just to trim around. So I'm trimming, you know, the 2 pieces together. These little pillows have been so much fun to do. So I have a question for you while I'm trimming. People have been asking me if I was planning on going on and doing more of these pillows, because there's, you know, there's a set for the winter. That's January, February, March, and April. Would anybody like to do those? Or would you like to take a little break from these? Why don't you just go ahead and comment if you'd like to continue and make some more of them. We can keep going, because that would help me, because I know what I was doing. And these are really fun to do, because they have 2 for every month. They have a rectangle one for every month and a square one for every month. Turn my camera just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So that's my question to everybody. If you'd like to continue going, or if you'd like to take a break. I know for sure I want to do the May, June, July, and August ones, because I have not done those either. I have done the winter ones, but I wouldn't mind having mind having a set done in the Kimber fabrics. Mine were all done in fabric I had at home, so I wouldn't mind having some done in the Kimber fabric. Okay, well, let's see. Whoops, I have to get up here in the little hat. It's got like a little dip down here in the top. These are so cute, though. It's nice to have a little something you can put on a shelf, or something that's seasonal for every month, you know. All right, so there's our hat. We got our hat all trimmed. Let me turn this over. Just turned over again. Okay, so now the next step is going to be, oh, it's going to be the placement line for the hat band applique. And I'm going to do that in purple because I want my hat band to be purple. All right. Oops. So we'll get the purple in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stitch number 3 on the machine, and it's going to be the placement line. I'm going to find my hat band fabric. They gave me plenty, so I have this whole piece left. And I want the stripes to go up and down, so I put it, like this way. So let's see if I can get it in here. We'll pull this back so we can get it lined up here. Looks like I got a thread sticking up. Okay, so let's put this in. We'll do this end here. And I want to make sure that we get it, and it just fits, across there, and then the stripes are going up and down then. I thought that was kind of neat that the stripes went up and down. So I'm kind of, sort of like when you fussy cut, I'm trying to place it so that they look like they're going up and down. That looks pretty good. All right. And then I'm going to leave my purple thread in, and we're going to do step number 4 on the machine, and that's going to be the tack down line. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are interested in maybe doing some more of these. These are really fun, and they're just, it's just a whole little series. And I've always wanted to do them all, but I just, I did manage to get some of them done, but this gives me an excuse to, could you email the address of your friend for the kits, Jan? Oh, who said that? Melody. Melody, it's mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com. It's actually the sister of the gal. Her name's Kim Christopherson, that owns Kimber. So it's her sister has this quilt shop out in Logan, Utah, and they make these kits. And they're about $10 a piece, roughly, and they come with most of the embellishments and everything. So it's a good place you can order them. So they're probably wondering, why are all these women from Iowa ordering these kits? So I know a bunch of people have ordered them, but I'll order the Christmas one or the winter ones then, although I probably have enough to cut them. I just don't like to cut. I do have the ones for May, June, July, and August already. I ordered those last year and never got around to doing them. So now maybe this year I'll get them done. All right, so I'm going to trim this close to the stitches if I can get underneath there. There we go. I was a little skimpy with my applique because I wanted to make sure I had plenty left over. I kind of like that purple with stripes on it. So yeah, so mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com, and it's SHOPPE.com. So if you Google it, you'll find it. There might be other places that have the little kits, but they do a good job cutting them. They take a little while. You might have to wait a couple weeks for them, but I got all mine in about 2 to 3 weeks. I think it was almost 3, but I ordered when they said they were really busy. So, all right. So let's get that trimmed. All right, so there's our hat band. Get this out of the way. All right. So the next step is going to be, I'm going to go back to the black, and it's going to be the satin stitch for the hat. By the way, I also only have these 5 spools of thread here. I took all my thread to Dad's as well. So it went up there yesterday. So I kept all the thread I needed for this class in a box. I didn't take all my thread, but the thread I'm using for most of the time I took up there. So he's going to have kind of a rude awakening when he gets home and finds his house moved around. I did ask him first before I did it, though. So he knows that it's moved around. Okay. I'm going to get my black. Okay, so here goes the black. And this is going to be the satin stitch for the hat. And this is step number 5 in the machine. All right, so while that is sewing, we're going to talk a little bit about the embellishments. Because it's going to take a minute for this. So I'll just kind of put my camera back a little bit, and we'll talk about the embellishments a little bit. So one of the things you have to do is we're going to make this little flower, kind of like a little flower decoration for the hat, and it's made out of that organza with the, you know, the glitter on it. Yeah, a lot of people said they have the design CDs and never have done them, and me too. I mean, you know, I've had them since they came out, and I just think they're adorable. And I've been wanting to do them, and you know, if we just have an excuse to do them, we can get them done. So, all right. So what I have done, what they want you to do with this. So I'm going to turn my page. This is on page number 6. So while this is stitching, we'll talk about this. So what I have done is I have taken a needle and thread with purple thread, okay, and I tied off on this end. I'm left-handed, so on the left end. If you're right-handed, on the right end, whatever, whichever hand you're sewing with. And I just did just a little, you know, a little straight stitch through there so I can gather this. And all you do, and I want to make sure that my little pretty little glitter is up. Actually, Denise, I can't because I am not going to teach for a few weeks in December because it's too close to Christmas. So it would have to be January, but we would do them like, you know, the first, we could do the software classes later, and we could do them in like early January. So like the first 2 weeks of January, the second 2 weeks of January. So yeah, we'll do them, but it's going to be in the months that they are. So. All right, so I'm going to pull this and just gather it up. So this is just going to be that little decoration. Second here. You know, I might actually stick my glasses back on. And what I'm trying to do is make sure I get it right side up, first of all. And I'm trying to find the other end where I started. So here's where I started, and I like to go back through, like, you know, that little spot and pull it so that it just kind of comes together then, like that. Okay, and it doesn't need to be fancy. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of pull this up, and I'm going to kind of stick the raw edge, you know, like where I did the stitching inside there, like that, so that it has a little poof to the front. And then I'm going to hold this, and I'm just going to tie a knot and tie this together. Okay, we'll just tie a knot here at the end. I'm not very good at these kind of embellishments, but all right. Make sure I get it right side up. I have a hard time keeping these right side up. All right, that looks pretty good. Yep, well, some looks like a bunch of you. All right, so I'm just going to tie this off and take a few more stitches. Now I just use my embroidery thread because it matched. You kind of want your thread to match, otherwise you'll kind of see it. So I'm just going to put a few stitches through that little area there and tie it off. Okay, so that's a simple little decoration. And I'll put a little knot. I'm not going to cut my thread yet, though. I am actually going to sew the button on. Aren't you proud of me? I'm not going to glue it. We are going to glue the whole thing to the hat, but there's only one problem. I also took my glue gun to my dad's, so I didn't have a glue gun, so we won't glue it actually tonight, but you get the gist. Try and find the button. So I am going to sew my button on. Since I already had the thread attached here, I'm just going to sew my button on in the center. I have one of those little cute little buttons. What are they called? The little button set that they have. They have all these darling buttons. What are they called, Lynn? I can't remember. So I'm just going to sew the button in the center here. See if I got it pretty centered. I think I'm doing okay. I'm terrible at sewing buttons on, guys. I've always been really bad at it. No, it's not buttons and seasons. It's the cute as a button. Cute as a button. Those are the ones that are just the little buttons. Cute as a button, and they have 2 sets, and one has the, you know, like the fall colors with the orange, and then there's one with reds and turquoise. It's really cute. So I'm just going to go ahead and tie that off now. And there's my little embellishment for my hat. Isn't that cute? And I even got it on right side up. I'm very proud of myself. So there's my little embellishment. And I'm just going to set that aside for a little bit. I'll cut the thread now. And that I will put on with a glue gun. But I just don't happen to have my glue gun here. I only have one, and it went to Dad's yesterday. So it's in the box up there on the floor. So I'll have to, whoop, I just knocked it on the floor. Just a minute, I got to find it. All right. So there's our little embellishment for our hat. Isn't that cute? And then it looks like I have a few little stray ends I'll have to trim off. That organza likes to shred just a little bit, so sometimes I have to trim a few little ends off. But that looks good. All right, so there's our little embellishment. And then the other thing I'm going to talk about a little bit is the trim while this is stitching. And we'll get into this a little bit more as we get there. But I'm going to start talking about oh, it might be done. We might have to change the thread first. While the hat band's trimming or sewing, we'll talk about the trim. There we go. So the next step is a step 6 in the machine is the purple for the hat band. So put the purple back in. Dad tried to call me a couple minutes ago. Did you hear my phone ring? He must have forgotten I'm teaching class. He's usually so good. I told him, don't call me between 6 and 7:30, and he called me at 6:30. He probably just forgot it. He's usually really, really good about it. Okay, so now the next step is this. We're going to do the satin stitch here. All right, so I got my little embellishment over here. Now, okay, so I have a really hard time with pom-poms. So this is the pom-poms. These are actually the Kimber pom-poms. You know, they come in the pack that you get the fringe and the pom-poms together, okay? And I did do the pom-poms on this pillow, but do you notice that when I sewed my pom-poms on, you cannot see any tape from the pom-poms all the way around here? Okay, I struggle with pom-poms because the tape is always kind of wide, and this is like 3/8 of an inch wide, and it's too wide for the seam allowance. So what I ended up doing is, you know, when I trimmed my pillow front, I cut my pieces, separated them. I didn't go around the corners. I just cut my pieces the size. And I also took my scissors and trimmed down this tape a little bit. I just took about less than 1/8 of an inch off, you know, about 1/8 of an inch off, just to make it narrower, so that when I went to put this in the seam allowance, it would, when I did my 1/4 inch seam, it would cover that tape. I didn't want that tape to show, because I tried sewing it with the tape showing, and it just looked gnarly. I didn't like the look of it. And so that's my take on pom-poms. I am not a huge pom-pom fan anyway, so I went ahead and did it. But I like to do, like, I think when we trim the pillow here in a minute, I think we trim it 10 inches long and 6 inches wide. So I cut, like, you know, 2 pieces that were a little over 10 inches, and 2 pieces that were a little over 6, so that I could put them on each side separately. Okay, so if you're working along with me, you can kind of pre-cut those if you want to use pom-poms. Okay, and then if you don't want the seam tape will show if you just sew the 1/4 inch seam. But what I did is I just took my scissors and I'll kind of show you here on the end. I just took my scissors after I had my strips cut, and I just cut off about, you know, so that it made it narrower like that. Can you see the little piece that I cut off? So I just cut off about less than 1/8 of an inch, and then that will fit in my 1/4 inch seam allowance. When you turn your pillow, though, when you cut through that tape, you are going to have to be a little careful not to pull your pom-poms off. So I had to be real careful with mine, okay? Because you are cutting through that tape. You're going to be stitching this down, and then you're going to be stitching over it a couple times. But I just don't like that ugly tape showing outside my seam. It just looks bad, especially with this lighter colored fabric and this really dark, because it was very stark, and I really noticed it. So that is the pom-poms. I think what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to go rogue tonight, and I'm going to use fringe. However, I don't want it all the way around the pillow. And also, if you look, the top header tape on my fringe is narrower. So I'm going to put the fringe just on the ends of the pillow. I'm going to leave the top and bottom plain, and I'm just going to put these little fringes on the ends. So I'll put it on the same way I did the pom-poms, but when we get there, I'll show you that in a minute. And then, but I'm just going to use the fringe tonight, because that came with my, I got the fringe and the pom-poms. Okay. I've never liked pom-poms. I don't know. I think it's because when you put them on, you got to use a zipper foot. And I've always had trouble with zipper feet. They don't glide over the, they don't feed too well, because you're only feeding on one feed dog. And sometimes I have a little trouble getting my zipper foot. This is the type that works the best. The one that comes with the machine is not my favorite one, because it catches everything on the back. So this is one of those old-fashioned ones with the screw on the back, that it moves back and forth. So that's the kind of zipper foot. You do not need to use that for the fringe, because fringe is flat. You can just use your regular J foot. Okay. So I'll show you that in a minute when we get there. Okay. Looks like we got our hat band. Now the last 7, 8, and 9, the last 3 steps are the words, and it does welcome. Let me hold this up here. So I pre-sewed that so that you don't have to sit here and just watch the words go. So welcome my pretties is in black. This little swish I did in purple down here. I think it does that first. Yeah, it does that first. Then it does welcome my pretties. And then I don't know if you can see on welcome, they have like a bean stitch that's orange that is over the black thread. And that's the last step. Okay. So that was a really fun little project. I just did that first so you wouldn't have to sit here and watch all the, all the letters. So, okay. So now, whoops, I can hear my book just fell shut. Get it back open here. So we need to do some trimming now. I'm going to take this out of the hoop. It's all done. Okay. And take this out of the hoop. I think it's going to be really cute. I'm going to take this over here and I'm going to press this out so that it's nice and flat. I'm not going to press on my applique though, because remember that's glitter vinyl. Then I'm going to move the camera. Get this pressed out a little bit. I like to leave the stabilizer on when I trim, because then it's nice and supported. So we'll leave the stabilizer on as we trim this. But I like to have it nice and flat. So I just ironed it a little bit. All right, so I'm going to move my camera here. Give me just a second. We'll slide this over here so you can see what I'm going to do, and we'll do the trimming. So this is on page. So we did the little swish and then all the words, and that was the last of the sewing. So that was step 7, 8, and 9 that I pre-did. Let me get my camera here. We'll move it over here. Hopefully you'll be able to see. I have a smaller table, so I may have to put it on the end of my other table here today. All right. So I'm just going to go like that. So there we are. And I've got my rotating mat. And this works really well for this. I'm going to move my, excuse me just a second, I'm going to move my iron so I don't burn myself. Okay. So here's our rotating mat. And we're going to get some of the orange pop rulers. And these things are awesome. You need, it says on here that we're actually going to end up trimming this 6 by 10. Okay. And then we're going to visually center the embroidered design using both the 6.5 by 8.5 and the 8.5 by 10.5. So this is the 6.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to use that one first, and we're just going to get this centered in here. And there's lines on the ruler up and down. That really helps. And then you just kind of have to go side to side till you get it where you want it. Let's see here. Sometimes I have to put the other one on to help me. Because we're going to have a little overlap down here, see, on each side. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to put the bigger one on also. So we'll lay this in here. And then I can tell better here if I'm straight this way, because I can tell if, you know, it's about the same markings on each end. Making sure that there aren't any questions. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. So you can see that there's a little bit underneath each side of the ruler. The little marks here and here are about the same on both sides. And I'm pretty sure I'm even up and down. You can see the little marks on the ruler, and that really helps you get it lined up. That looks pretty good. What do you think? Think that'll be okay? There's just a little bit of overlap on both sides. I think that'll be okay. All right. So now it says that we're going to trim the inside on the top and the bottom first. So we're not going to trim the ends. We're going to trim just the top and the bottom first. So I'm going to rotate my mat here. And I'm going to cut on the inside. Now, if you have trouble doing the inside, you can always use like a marking pen and mark it and then use a regular ruler. I just use the orange pop rulers. You just kind of take your time with them. Don't get in a hurry. So we're going to go from one end to the other, and then I'm going to flip this around on the other side. If you have a rotating mat, it really helps. This is a Martelli rotating mat, best thing I've ever bought, and I've got a little one too. And this one is so nice because it turns. It's got like a Lazy Susan on it, and it really turns well. Some of them don't turn well. Okay, and then we're going to remove the center ruler. Okay, we're going to remove the bigger one, okay, or the small one, I should say. And then it says trim each side. So we're going to trim the sides now. Without removing anything, we're just going to trim these sides now. Like that. Then we're going to go down to this end. And these have like little rubber stoppers on the bottom, so they keep them from moving around too. Like that. Okay? So we did that. I'm going to pull these out of the way. And then remove the trim block, which we did. So see, there's still a little space here. So we need to extend those cuts. I'll just take my regular ruler for that. I find it a little hard to see through those orange ones, so I like this. This is one of those Missouri Star rulers. I've always liked this one. So we'll extend those so that it goes all the way across down here. Got that side done. Let's get this out of the way. And we'll do the other side. That. always have to make sure I get a straight cut on there. There we go. There's that one and this one. Now like I said, I like to leave my stabilizer on here because then it's nice and supported underneath and everything lays flatter. It's easier to cut it. All right. So I extended the cuts, but this is now, it's still a little bit too big. So in the instructions, it says at the end, it says, trim 1/4 inch from each side. The block will now measure 6 by 10. Because right now it's actually, remember we had a 6.5 by 8.5 and then a 8.5 by 12, 10.5 in there. So it's 10.5 inches long by 6.5 inches wide. So, and I'm going to verify that with my ruler. So we should just be able to cut 1/4 inch off. So yeah, 6.5 by, I have to see my numbers, 10.5. So we're just going to cut 1/4 inch off all 4 sides to make it 6 by 10. So I'm just going to lay my ruler. I think I'm going to stand back up again. I'm going to lay my 1/4 inch marking on my ruler on the edge of the fabric and make sure it's good and straight. Just haven't quite got it straight. There we go. And then I'm going to trim off 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to, that was the bottom, so I'm going to turn it over and do the top so I don't forget which sides I've done. Because I've done that before. And then I'll do the sides. So I'll do the top and bottom first and then the sides. Okay, so let's get it all marked there. And then we're going to trim off our 1/4 inch. Okay, and then we'll do the sides. Let's do one of the sides here. That. And we'll do the other side. Like that. So now it should be 6 by 10. The rulers work very well. They use them, you know, in conjunction with a regular ruler, but I mean, it really gets, it's nice because then they're centered. You can really see, you know, you can fussy cut or you can center it. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to remove my stabilizer. So I'm ready to remove my stabilizer now because we are going to stitch this together. So whoops, if I can get it off. There we go. That's why I like tearaway. Now, the cutaway sometimes, I've tried some of these with cutaway. And the one that we're going to do, oh, and by the way, those folks who have, those of you who are interested and have not signed up, Sewing with My Nomies event is coming up in October. It's the last, was it the 3rd weekend or 4th weekend, Lynn? The 20-something. And it's 2 days. It's Friday and Saturday. And one of the pillows, there's a pillow in there, but it's a pin cushion. It is the most adorable stuff. There's a apron and a pin cushion and a sewing caddy for your chair. It's so cute. So I did do that one with the cutaway, and it's okay. But I often get some puckering when I use cutaway on these. I like the tearaway because then I'm just down to the fabric and the shape flux when I get done. You know, when I take my stabilizer off. Yes, the class is virtual, Cindy. Yes, I'm not doing any classes in the store right now because of COVID. And I'll be exceptionally careful now since I'm living with a 94-year-old. Yeah, 22nd, 23rd. Thank you, Lynn. I couldn't remember what the exact dates were. It's Friday and Saturday. And it's 2 days. It's such cute projects. I think there's 5 projects, but they're a little more involved. So there's quite a bit of stuff going on in them. It's a sewing caddy, a tote bag, a needle case. It's all like sewing and garden related. So it's very cute. The whole thing is not gnomes, by the way. It's the cutest part is the hedgehogs. There's some gnomes. They're very cute too, but I like the little hedgehogs. So, all right. So there's our little hat. You know, I think actually I could take this off too. I think this will come. It's big enough that I can get it off. Sometimes I don't take it off inside the design, but this is big enough I can get it off. Maybe. Sit here and watch me take stabilizer off, guys. All right, take this one. Just about done. There we go. Okay, so there is our Welcome My Pretties. Isn't that darling? So now we're going to switch back over to the machine. So I'll have to move the camera again, and we're going to sew on our trim. So let me get the camera moved back over again. Yeah, so the 22nd, 23rd, Lynn, of October. And they're still, and it's up on the website. You can just go sign up on the website. And 2 days, you get all the kit, you know, you get all the kit stuff. You just have to have stabilizer and some thread. So all the other kit stuff is included. And the fabrics and everything, they're so much fun. Their events are so much fun. And then we're going to have drawings and door prizes. And there's some really cute, we got some cute door prizes. Okay. All right, so the next step then is we need to put on, I'll get my book over here so I don't miss a step. We talked a little bit about the trim. So if you're going to do the trim, you know, we made our little flower, so that's over here all done. But if you're going to do the pom-poms, I then at this point, you know, took my string of pom-poms and I trimmed them to match, and you're going to put the, you know, the pom-poms or the fringe are going to be in, and the strip is going to be out. So what I did is I trimmed them down to the sizes of each side. So it was like, you know, about 10 by 6, okay? And I cut them off. I did not go around the corners because it makes it bulky. Okay, so I did not do that. I cut them off. And if I tried to keep the pom-poms from being like right in the corner, so you might have to trim it off a little bit so that you can avoid a pom-pom on the corner, okay? And then I took my fabric glue stick and glued them down, but I did trim that tape off. And if you don't mind the tape showing, you don't have to do that. But see how I trimmed it down? I would trim that down to about that wide. See, I trimmed about 1/8 of an inch off. And then I glued it down to my fabric with, you know, the pom-poms facing in. And then I stitched with my zipper foot because these things get in the way. That's why I hate pom-poms. Okay. And I'd drive all the way around with my zipper foot just to hold them down so that they're not going to go anywhere. Okay. So that's what I would do with pom-poms. So what I'm going to do with the fringe is just a little bit different. I'm going to put it on the end. So I'm going to grab my fringe. And I am going to do the same thing. But on the fringe, I want to make sure that it doesn't go into the seam on the end. So I'm going to stop about 1/4 of an inch from each corner. All right. So I'm going to stop about 1/4 of an inch from my corner. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm also going to take my glue stick and I'm going to glue my fringe down because it just helps keep it from moving around on me. Okay, so I'm just going to put the glue down, but I am going to start and stop about 1/4 of an inch from the end, or the edge, I should say. All right, so let's get that about right there. Now this is narrower, so I should be okay. I don't like that tape showing. It just looks ugly. So I am going to place it up a little bit just to make sure it doesn't show. This is much narrower than the pom-pom. So I'm just going to lay that along the end. And again, fringe in. Okay. I'm going to go out here. And I'm just placing it just a little bit higher just to make sure that I don't have that in there. And then I'm going to trim this off about 1/4 of an inch from the corner. Got to find, oops. It's hard to do this on the sewing machine. Okay, there we go. I'm going to trim that right there. so that it's not in my seam. Looks like, oop, I think it glued okay. I've got a little tail end sticking out here, so we'll go get that off of there. Okay. All right, so let's do the other end. So I'm going to go to the other end. And you could do this all the way around if you wanted to. I've just seen a couple of the pillows done with just fringe on the ends, and it's so cute. So make sure I'm down there to the corner. It looks pretty good. Okay. Let's do this one. Do the same thing. Get the thread out of the way here. Okay. And take my glue stick, and I like these little, these little smaller glue sticks, like the Soline glue sticks, because they have a smaller line of glue. So I usually have those to do this kind of stuff. Get this down, and then again, we're going to put the fringe in. And we're going to start about 1/4 of an inch from the corner, and I'm going to just stick that little ridge up over the fabric, just so that I make sure I hit it with, I don't like that. I just don't like that tape showing. So I think I've always struggled with pom-poms because of that, because it never looks good. I don't know. I did a lot of pom-poms. We had a bunch of classes with pom-poms in it during Kimber Club one time, and oh my gosh, I think I must have cut 25 yards of pom-poms. It was just incredible. All right, so I'm going to trim this up about 1/4 of an inch from the end. There we go, like that. Okay, so there's my fringe. Do you sell the fringe on the Shields website? You know what, Denise? I have all the colors, fringe and pom-poms, except the black. So I can get it for you. So if you text me, I will order it for you this week. I do like the fringe. I didn't realize I didn't have the black. I have all the other colors, but I don't have the black. And I ordered this myself. They have like fringe and pom-poms together. And they have red, white, and black. And I went on there to look for it, and I thought, oh no, I don't have the black up there. So I'll put it up I'll get it up there, and otherwise just email me and I'll order it for you. Sorry about that. I didn't even think about it not being there. All right, so there's my fringe. What do you think? You like that? Then we're going to, so then we have to have our ends, so this is our backs. And I have pre-stitched these. We're going to, turn over on on one side. We're going to turn it over 1/4 of an inch, and then another 1/4 of an inch, and then stitch it down so that we have them nice and hemmed. Okay. And I did that on both of these. So this is the longer piece, and this is the shorter piece. All right. And that's step number 6 on page 6. And then we're going to just sandwich this. Now, I'm not going to, since I've got this glued, I'm going to be okay with my fringe. I'll put some pins down there, but I'm not going to pre-sew the fringe on. It'll be fine because I've got it glued down. And they put their back on. You know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to bring this fringe in, and I'm just going to catch it with a little bit of tape in here, because I don't want my fringe caught in my seam. So I'm just going to do it just real lightly on the edge and pull this fringe in just a little bit. The tape's out here, but I don't want to catch my fringe. Let me pull a little piece off the end of this, and we'll just put a little piece here, and we'll do this on both sides, because otherwise we might get it caught in the seam. I'm not going to push it down very hard, though. Do the kits include the pillow? No, they do not. So we'll talk about the pillow here in a minute, Jan. I will talk to you about that in just a second. So when we get this part done, then I'll talk about the pillow. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to pull this over just a little bit so that it doesn't get caught in my seam. Like that. Okay. Then I'm going to put my the big piece on first, and I'm just going to line up all the raw edges. And where did I put my pins? Here we are. So we're just going to pin down here, and I'm particularly going to pin where, you know, where the fringe is. I want to make sure that my fringe isn't going to go anywhere. It's glued down, so it should be fine. Oops. Dropping pins on the floor. I'm going to do this. So I decided to go rogue tonight and just do the fringe. I'll go over here. Make sure you got all your raw edges together. That looks pretty good. Okay, give me a second. I just dropped the other piece. And I'm going to put this one on here. And on here. And they've been doing them this way with the, you know, with the bigger piece on the top, because it's just easier to get the pillow in. They often had done them the other way, that they cover the big piece with the little piece, and then it's so hard to get the pillows in. So I kind of like it this way. All right, so get this all pinned. Put a couple pins down here. All right. This makes a those little envelope backs, you know, and they're so easy, and they're so fast. Okay, so I got that pin. I'm going to get my glue out of the way. Now I'm going to move my machine to sewing. Just a second here. Change my foot. And with the fringe, I didn't have to use the dreaded zipper foot. Zipper feet are not real fun. I mean, on zippers, they're fine, but like when you're trying to do pom-poms and piping and stuff like that, they just never feed very well. And it's because you're not on as much fabric. Usually you're like on a real narrow seam or something. I just have a heck of a time with those. So that's not my favorite foot to use for piping and stuff. I mean, there isn't a better one. That's the best one, but it makes it hard to feed through. I was doing that pillow with the pom-poms at the store, and I was having a terrible time getting it done. So I'm going to switch over to my Pima cotton thread. I got some black here. This is my original. That's from Craftsy. It's really good. I get that Pima cotton thread from Hobby Lobby. It's the only kind of thread I buy anywhere except from the store. Is this cotton thread? I like the Craftsy thread too. I assume they still have it. They've been bought and sold a couple times now, so I assume they still have this Pima cotton, but they have it at Hobby Lobby, and it's good thread. So don't buy the polyester stuff, though. It's terrible. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I think I'm going to start, let's start up here, because ouch, I like to start like where that little overlap is, because I'm going to sew over it a couple times. Give me a second. I got to get my foot controller plugged in here. Okay. Can you see? Okay. So we're going to start up here where that little overlap is. It's like right here. And I like to sew over it a couple times because sometimes they like to catch on me. And I'm going to use Q02 on the Q tab because that's my 1/4 inch piecing stitch with my J foot. Okay. So I'm just going to use that. I'm going to tie off here, and then we'll just sew down through here and then back up. I just want to make sure that little junction is very strong. And then I'm going to back up over it. I'm running my fabric right along the edge of my J foot because I have the needle moved to the 1/4 inch seam. And then I'm going to go down to the other end. Okay, let's see if Jan gets along okay with my seam tape down here. So let's see. Okay, turn this over. I need to take one more stitch. All right. And I did move the seam tape out just a teeny tiny bit because this was a lot narrower than the pom-poms were, so hopefully it won't show. We'll see how Jan did. Okay, then we're going to turn the corner again. Okay, so we're getting to that little spot again, and I'm going to go over it. Then I'm going to hit the reverse button, and I'm going to go back over it again. So that little, you know, that little section where it overlaps is strong, especially when you're using cotton thread because it's not as strong, you know, as polyester thread. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. And then go over the other end. So let's see. Hopefully, I did a good job with the ends. Okay. Oops. I need to go back one stitch. There we go. And then across this way. And then we'll end. This was an easy one to sew together, except that the pom-poms were really, they always make me sweat. So I decided to try fringe tonight instead. You could put this fringe all the way around. It would work just fine. Put the fringe all the way around too, but I thought it'd be cute just on the ends, something different. Okay, so let's see how we did. I'm going to take all these pins out. Now the other thing they tell you to do, you know, I'm going to show you Grandma's little trick here again. They always tell you to cut the corners off. Well, I push through the corners every time, so I do my Grandma's little trick and take my first finger and put it up in the corner. I'm going to pull this back to the seam allowance, push it down to the seam allowance, and I'm going to turn it right side out. And then it's going to be a nice, beautiful corner. Then you don't have to trim, and I don't go through the ends. I go through the ends every time. So now I need to get this little bit of tape off. Okay, so hang on to your fringe and pull the tape off. So there we go. Got one of them off. And I'll get that one when I get the other end. So I'll do the same thing. Like this. Push it through. Do the other one. Make your, because you're basically making your corner first and then turning it. Okay. So here's that one. And there's the tape. Looks like I did okay with the fringe. I don't think I've got a bunch of that tape showing. What do you think? Does that look pretty good? I think that looks pretty good. All right. Oops, got one more piece of tape here. Just a second. Get this one off. Just be careful and hang on to your fringe so you don't pull it all off. There we go. So there's, what do you think? You like the fringe on the ends? I kind of think that's kind of cute. What do you think? Kind of like that. Different. All right. And then Jan asked about the pillows. Okay, so what I do, it does not come with the pillow form. The pillow forms are very large. And I have been making my pillow forms most of the time. It's not that I don't want to sell you a pillow form, but I'm really struggling. Cuter than the pom-poms. I think so too. I like the pom-poms, Denise, but I do really like the fringe, and I don't know that you really need the fringe all the way around. Do you think it would be I think it might be a little bit too much if it were all the way around. You know, it might be a little too much. I like the fringe on the ends. So okay, so Jan wanted to know about the pillows. So this is what I do. I make my own pillow forms. Now in the first video I made for you, remember there was 2-part that night. I made the pillow form for you for the rectangle one. So again, the sizes you cut your muslin. This is just muslin, okay? It's just a nice muslin. Or you can use some sort of like Kona cotton or anything like that, will be just fine. And I cut for the one for this, I cut the size 6 by 10. Remember, that's what we cut this to. I cut them 6 by 10. And then I take a 1/4 inch seam all the way around, stuff it, and just stitch it shut. So I make almost all my pillow forms because I like the ones I make better, and they're smaller. The new pillow forms are so big. It's like you can hardly get them on the pillows. So I would recommend maybe making your pillow forms. If you have, I have stuffing all the time, so I just don't have a trouble making the pillow forms. The square ones, you cut 8.5 by 8.5 because they end up being 8 inches square. So you do the same thing, and so I've got all my pillow forms cut for all the pillows. Okay, so I've just been making my own. You can buy them if you want. They're just great, but I like them. What do I stuff them with? I use I like that. What are they called? Mountain Mist stuffing. I get it at Hobby Lobby now. It's the one with the little teddy bear on the box. Polyfill makes my hands break out, so I don't use polyfill, and I haven't for years. So I just stuff them with just regular stuffing. Okay, and there's my little pillow form. So let's take a look and see what it looks like. So I'll slip it in here, and these are a little firm also, but they go in a lot easier than the ones you buy. And this fabric is a lot stronger than the Kimber pillow forms. They're kind of, the fabric's kind of soft, and I really have trouble. I'm always pushing something through it. Like this is, whoops, a second here. I'm going to have to put this down near my lap to get it in here. This is always harder because you have to get it into this little space, and it's long. Just careful, no, pull your fringe off. Okay, I got that. I'm going to pull the little flap up. Oops. Pull the little flap over there. Looks pretty good. What do you think? Looks like I got a couple little stray, there we go, fringies there. Yeah. What do you think? You like that? I kind of like the fringe. Kind of like that. And then when I get to Dad's tomorrow, I'll put this on, because I'm just gonna hot glue it right there, kind of on the edge. But I forgot I took my glue gun up already, and I don't have it here. Put it on. So we'll put that on tomorrow. Isn't that cute? I do like the fringe. I really am glad I did that. I kind of like that. I think it might be just a little bit too much to put it on the whole thing, don't you? It's pretty long, and it's not a very big pillow. I just really like that. Okay, so what do you think? I think this is so fun. And then next week's, let me see, I've got my pillow here somewhere. Here it is. Next week's pillow is the square one, and this one is so fun. So this one, we're going to do a little pieced flanged edging. This has got glitter vinyl down here for the cauldron, and it's got iridescent mylar in it, and it's also got some of what we did with this one with the little feet and the polka dot glitter. So we're going to do this one next week, and yeah, and then this one's got little buttons on it. We may not get all the buttons sewn on, but I actually did sew those on. Aren't you proud of me? I actually sewed them on. So, and then it's got the little skirt. So here's the little, so like this is the witch's hat, and then her, she's upside down in the cauldron, and there's her skirt sticking out. So I just thought that was adorable. And then the back, I can't remember what I used on mine. This is the kit, and so I had different fabric for mine. So, but I thought it turned out really cute. Okay, so that's what we'll do next week, and then I'll be in my new sewing room. So I'll be at my dad's. So. But we'll have class. I get internet tomorrow. See, my dad's never had internet, so we get internet tomorrow, and then we can have class. So yeah, so I'm real happy with that. Let me switch my camera over really quick. And say goodbye to everybody. And does anybody have any questions? You get my microphone touched over. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, so I think, so here's my little one with the fringe on the ends, and here's the one with the pom-poms. Am I moving in permanently? That we don't know yet. Depends on how he does. So I don't know. I like animals, so I like being there, so we'll see. But isn't that darling? These were so much fun to make. So if you're interested, in going on. We can go on and do the January, February, March, and April ones. When is Easter this year? Is it in April or is it in March? Does anybody know? I haven't looked to see. But anyway, we can go on and keep doing these because they are fun and adorable. And then it gives us a reason to make them, doesn't it? So anyway, so next week we'll do this one. I'll hold it up so you can see it maybe a little bit better. So this one, we'll do this one next week. And it's really, really fun. Oh, it's not that bad. I don't know who said that. Jan, it's not that bad. It's about 45 minutes because when I don't have to come out here to my house to feed the cat, it's in April. Oh, good. So we'll be able to get them done then. Awesome. Easter is in April. Okay. It's later this year. All right. So next week we'll be in Anamosa and we will be making the little witch. And what's the name of it? It's got a cute name too. What was the name of it? Topsy Turvy Witch. So I just thought it was adorable. So, okay. So if you have any questions, Facebook me, email me. Does your dad like your cat? Well, my cat doesn't really like anybody. Dad doesn't really like the cat, and the cat really doesn't like my dad. So we'll see. Hopefully everything will be okay. I think she's going to be the one that's going to have the most trouble with this. My mother always had a cat. So my dad has only not had a cat for like 10 years since my mom's been gone. So he's had a cat for 70 years. So it's not like he's never had a cat before. So it'll be a little bit of a change for him because he hasn't had one for a while, but it'll be fine. I'll take care of her. So, and he knows that I'll be taking care of her. So, all right. So wish me luck. I'll be moving tomorrow. So I'll be in Animals as of tomorrow. I won't be online much until I get the internet put in tomorrow afternoon. So if you need to get in touch with me, I have my phone. So it'll just be a little bit of a delay while I get internet set up. And I'll actually be like high tech in Animosa. It's pretty awesome. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week for the Topsy Turvy Witch. Thanks, everybody. Good night.